Hey everybody, and welcome back to Be Like Christ. Let's talk about Christian arrogance. Okay, so today is New Year's Day 2019, which means last night was New Year's Eve night. And I think you'd probably agree with me when I say that more sin probably happens New Year's Eve night than most other nights of the year. Okay, so I woke up this morning and I was scrolling through my Instagram. I was about to go get a workout in, and what happened was that some of that sin from last night ended up getting posted on the internet, and I was scrolling through, and I found myself for a moment thinking, that I was really better than these people, because I was in a better relationship with God. And, they were in sin and I wasn't, and I felt good and I wasn't hungover this morning, and I didn't know, hadn't lost my car keys. I had my life together and these people didn't, and that made me better than them. Failure. It didn't take me long to realize that my attitude was 100% wrong. I think we can definitely say one thing for sure, and that is that if your Christianity makes you arrogant and makes you think that you're better than other people, you're doing it wrong. Jesus had tons of problems with some people called the Pharisees and the Sadducees in the New Testament. And the reason is because they were kind of the religious leaders, and they thought they were just better than everybody else because they kept the law better than everybody else. More than anyone else, Jesus directs his condemnation at them, and they are the target of some of his harshest words. And yet this is still a major pitfall that a lot of modern Christians fall into. You ever read the Old Testament about all those people and you think to yourself, man, I'm so glad we're a lot more moral than they were. We are a lot better people than them. I'm not so sure. My friend in our Sunday morning Bible class was teaching a really good class on 2 Corinthians chapter 3, talking about how the Old Testament law led to death, but the New Testament law led to life. But the question that we need to answer is, what leads the New Testament to life versus the Old Testament to death? And the answer is not, we're better people than they were. In fact, I think part of the Old Testament and the purpose of it is to reveal to us exactly who we are. Because if everything was based on our actions, we'd be going to the exact same place that they were going. The old law led to spiritual death. So we come back to the question, what makes the difference between spiritual death and spiritual life? And the answer to that is Jesus. Jesus is the only reason that our destination and our ultimate destiny has changed. It's not because Christians today are better or more moral than those people. It's because Jesus is better. And it's only because of Jesus that I'm in the state that I'm in. And so what we find again is that it makes absolutely no sense to be arrogant under the Christian system. You are where you are because of somebody else. Okay, so bring this back around and we'll make some application. What should I have done in the situation where I was scrolling through my Instagram? What should have been my attitude rather than arrogance? It should have been what Paul says in Romans chapter 1, verse 14, in that he's a debtor to everybody. I am a debtor both to Greeks and to the barbarians, both to the wise and to the unwise. If we really appreciate the grace of Christ that changes our destiny, as Christians, we're not going to look at other people and look down on them because they're not in the same position that we are, because they haven't taken advantage of the gift as we have. Instead, we're going to feel a sense of debt to them. That Jesus gave this to me freely, and therefore I have an obligation to you and everybody who I see who hasn't taken advantage of what Jesus has given, and to teach them the gospel, to teach them the good news about how they can change their destiny from death to life. And so I'll say this one more time. If your Christianity leads you to arrogance, then you're doing it wrong. What you need to do is go back and reevaluate and reappreciate what God has given to you freely, and then make an effort to get that out to everyone who you know that you're indebted to because of the grace of Jesus.